In this course, you learn how to use the security assertion markup language, SAML protocol to configure the single sign-on, SSO authentication method between IBM Cloud Pak for Security and your IBM Security Verify Enterprise Identity source. A bit of review. SAML is an XML-based markup language, and it is an open standard for exchanging identity, authentication, and authorization information between identity providers and Cloud Pak for Security clusters. The identity provider issues the authentication assertion along with a SAML SSO profile to Cloud Pak for Security. Before you begin the configuration process, there are a few tasks that you must complete. First, make sure that the initial user and all other users have an email address in the IBM Security Verify Identity Provider solution. If a user is added with no email address, the user will experience issues when trying to access Cloud Pak for Security applications. That said, be sure not to add a user with the username admin to the identity provider, as that can cause issues with some other services on the cluster. Next, set up and log into the IBM Security Verify instance. Specifics on how to set up IBM Security Verify are not covered in this course, but you can find more information on the Security Learning Academy website. Cloud Pak for Security, or CP4S, uses the Identity and Access Management, or IAM, service of IBM Cloud Pak Foundational Services to configure SSO. SSO can be configured with Security Verify, but you must first complete the SSO configuration in your CP4S cluster. After that is done, complete the SSO configuration by following the instructions that are provided by your IAM solution provider. And finally, for accessing the cluster, you must configure a fully qualified domain name, FQDN, and an LDAP server. When these steps have been complete, you can begin the setup process for SSO. The procedure for configuring SAML is straightforward. In short, the SSO flow can be summarized as follows. A user attempts to access a service in your product, such as CP4S. Your product then verifies whether an authentication token is present. If no authentication token is present, it redirects the request for authentication to the Enterprise SAML server of the user. The Enterprise SAML server presents a login page to the user. If the user logs in successfully, however, the SAML server redirects the user along with the SAML response to your product. The SAML server then generates an authentication token and grants access to the service that the user requested. Start the configuration process by enabling SAML in the foundational services and obtain the data that is required to create an application in IBM Security Verify. Log into the Cloud Pak for Security cluster by replacing the variables and running the following command. Then enable SAML using this command. After that command has finished successfully, export and store the metadata file from foundational services using the following command. Metadata files are used for communication between CP4S and your Enterprise SAML server. The metadata file is saved with the file name that you specify. Next, create two files called signer.pem and encryption.pem, and add the following two lines to each file. For the XML file that has been exported previously, abstract the certificate base64 text that is required by IBM Security Verify to connect with foundational services. Paste this text between the lines in the signer.pem and the encryption.pem files. With the metadata file uploaded to the SAML server, it is now time to upload it from the Enterprise SAML server to your CP4S system using this command. After you complete these steps, SSO is configured successfully. To verify whether SSO was configured correctly, use this command. The command returns true only when SAML is enabled and the metadata file is uploaded to CP4S. Finally, if there is ever any need to disable SSO, do that by using this command. Now that SAML and SSO are configured, the next step is to verify the LDAP connection as the initial identity provider by logging in as the initial user. Keep in mind, though, that if the initial identity provider is configured 24 hours or more after completing CloudPak for Security installation, it might not be possible to log in and an error message might be received. You can configure an initial identity provider 24 hours or more after installation, but you must restart the entitlement service before logging in. That concludes this course on configuring SSO using SAML.